Hello, I'm Mohorc, and I'm going to be talking about programming. So now you all are probably thinking, great, he's an introvert, and he's talking about programming. And I'd like you to know that at least one of those is not true. I did at least have one friend at one time, so I'm not totally an introvert, I'm kind of an extrovert. But programming is the heartbeat behind technology, and it is an essential aspect of everything that we use every day. Most people accept programming to be some sort of voodoo magic and are content to live with the benefits. And this is perfectly good. However, I wanted to know more than just that. I wanted to know how programming worked. The short story for how I got started programming is that I enjoyed computer games and I wanted to know how they worked. And the long story is that I really enjoyed computer games and I wanted to know how they worked. Before I get started, I want to clarify a few things. No, I don't play football, and yes, the coaches have tried. Yes, I do have a really cool computer system, and I most definitely don't play it late at night, and that was probably just to appease my parents. Programming, however, while it is more than just letters and numbers, programming is formed on a basis of numbers. Programming itself started with just two numbers. For a history of programming, the first two numbers that started programming were just 0 and 1, which is called binary, which is the top one. And then it moved on to a combination of letters and numbers, which is hexadecimal, which is the one on the right, which you can't see because of low screen resolution. And then nowadays we use an iteration of English, which is the one on the bottom left. And even though programming is everywhere, people have no idea where to start. And while I could talk about programming and put you to sleep with all the intricacies, I'd rather not do that. My experience programming has done more for me than just learning the how-to. Programming has made me realize a lot of things about myself. So a quick note for some of the pictures coming up. They're all excerpts from code I've written. And you're probably not going to understand what they say, but I promise you they are relevant to what I'm talking about. And at the very least, they'll give you an idea of what code actually looks like. One of my favorite things about coding is the logic. Programming and the language itself is built around logic. And since I like programming, this made me realize I enjoy logic. But more than that, I need reasons for stuff. If I can't find a reason to do something, my motivation disappears with the reason. And sadly, this has its flaws because I don't find a reason to make my bed, and apparently I still have to. And all the kids said, amen. Programming is also very clear-cut. In programming, everything is black and white, and I love this. There is no in-between. Algorithms follow a basic pattern of this or that, and I really enjoy that. For me, it makes it easy. And so it turns out that I look at stuff in absolutes, which is either good or bad, and thank you to all four of you who got that joke. However, a more practical aspect of programming that I've learned is how programming has affected my goals in life. Coming into high school, I thought I wanted to be an engineer. Now this was more of a byproduct of constantly being asked where I wanted to go to college and what I wanted to be, and if I said engineer, it sounded good. If I said I don't know, it made me sound like the unmotivated person that I probably was. But soon I found myself in a programming class, and I liked it, and turned out I was pretty good at it. So I started looking into programming colleges, and I found two that I liked. It's pretty easy when I think in absolutes. I either like it or I don't like it. So I found two that I liked, applied to them, and now I'm done with college applications, and it's another thing that I don't have to do, so I can spend more time playing computer games and programming. The last thing about programming that I've learned is that, pardon the cliche, it's my way or the highway. Now this would work great if I was the only person on the world, but there's 7 billion other people, and the majority of them probably don't like my way. A good example of this is one time my friend and I were working on a piece of code. And by all means, I should have been the better programmer. I had been programming for longer. I had done more complicated programs, but by what was probably a fluke, his program was much better and much more efficient than mine. But I couldn't accept that his was better than mine, because like I said, I should have had a better program. And so for about a month, I used my inefficient program and envied his efficient program. And then it occurred to me I could ask him to use his, and of course he said yes, and it worked great, and it saved me time. And so once I realized that I could save time programming, or if I asked people for help, I was golden. The neatest part of programming for me is that I can speak or code in a language that is not familiar to most people. Take, for example, this up here. While most of you, if you looked at it for a while, could get a general idea of what it might say, it doesn't jump off the screen to you. However, this is actually just a small piece of coding that most people will do if they've learned coding. It's a very basic code that you learn when you start. But if you were to actually run the program, all it would say is thank you.